Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. I made some great cinnamon rolls today and I made some cheesy bread. It's like so good. It's gonna be like a cheesy rye bread. The food bank gave us lots of cheese, so we're gonna be eating a lot of cheese, fam. So that's the smell that I am reading to. And it's wonderful. So, we were dealing with Surah Al-Baqarah. Let's continue. This verse, although it is very brief and concise, refers to the three types of Tawheed. Tawheed ar-Rubiyyah, affirmation of the oneness of divine lordship. Tawheed ar-Rubiyyah. Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, affirmation of the oneness of divinity. And Tawheed al-Asma was-Sifat, affirmation of the oneness of the divine names and attributes. Okay, I've learned a lot about the names. The oneness I believe. It's like multiple gods just don't make sense to me. I think people confuse the bad jinns for gods, right? I think people confuse like demons or something like that for gods, right? I don't think it would make sense to have a bunch of these contradicting forces. I think that would make the world even more chaotic. And, why need to share in the glory? I don't believe in like a Mount Olympus type of scenario. It also includes belief in all the messengers and all the books, after mentioning the prophets in general. Then mentioning some by name, it points to the superiority of those who are named. It also refers to belief in the heart that is reflected in words and deeds, sincerity to Allah alone. The difference between true messengers and impostors who claim to be prophets. How Allah teaches his slaves what to say. Oh, that's interesting, right? Think about that. Teaches them what to say. That's cool because think about it. So many people, they think it comes from them. This is what you would think of as a priori knowledge. His mercy and kindness towards them by bestowing all kinds of religious blessings upon them that are connected to their happiness in this world and the hereafter. Glory be to the one who made his book explain all things and made it a guidance and a mercy to the believers. So it's a guidance and a mercy for us because we're able to get our redemption. We're able to have an opportunity to earn something better than the testing grounds for eternity, essentially. For me, that's how I look at it, how you look at it. 2:137. So if they believe as you believe, then they are rightly guided. But if they turn away, then it is they who are entrenched in imposition. But Allah will suffice you against them, and He is the all-hearing, the all-knowing. Think about this. Yes, we know the all-knowing, the all-hearing. Allah is sufficient. See, people I think might have a difficult time sometimes for that. You have like it's the wonderful thing to attempt to do every day. But I think people get fearful, especially if they're militant atheists. They think, well, we see what happens. Like, okay, for example, there was a guy who was praying to God and he was killed in the hospital. He had COVID and he died. He was beaten with an oxygen tank to death. He was praying. The person got mad that he was praying. The person that was sharing the room for him. And somebody wrote in the comment section of that news story, God can't even protect his believers, right? Like, and I thought to myself, that is where people, like, for instances like this, but Allah will suffice you against them, is people, atheists, who are having a trouble really connecting, will see, like, well, why is that thing happening? I think what I would say is that that person has earned I don't want to say they call it a martyr. I don't know if that's the right word, or if they get, because they died while they were praying to God, that they'll get automatic paradise because they will get their deeds weighed, but that action, the way in which they died, the circumstance of which they died, will add to their favor. It won't be a negative. So if it's bonus points, or not necessarily, I don't think you call it bonus points. If it's a positive point instead of a negation, is what I mean, then overall, in the accounting, what adds more to the good is a benefit, right? Net gain is my point. So we have to practice it and work on it and understand that even if we don't witness what happens, you have to keep going onward. You can't turn back because you've seen an atrocity. You have to keep going. That's what I think. That is, if the people of the book believe as you believe, all believers, and all the messengers and all the books, foremost among whom, and the final and the best of them, is Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the Quran, and they submit to Allah alone, and do not differentiate between any of the messengers of Allah. Okay, look at that. Don't differentiate between messengers. Don't focus just on Jacob and Noah and any one of your favorites throughout any of the books, right? Right, Aaron or anything like that. You have to really look at them all. You can have favorites. I think my favorites is Moses and Joseph. Musa and Yusuf, right? Those two are my favorite. I guess I don't differentiate as in like I'm not gonna ignore the others, but sometimes when I'm feeling any type of way, I like to hear the story about Moses or Joseph. Because one deals with letting power go, and the other deals with dealing with lust. And being hurt by your own family, right? So it's like, I don't differentiate, but I utilize like the story of them to make me feel better. That's how I think of it. But I see that if you focus just on Jesus or just on the Prophet Muhammad, right, then I can see how that creates a problem, right? Because you're differentiating, you're overemphasizing one and the other, I think. Am I getting that right? Then they are rightly guided to the straight path, which leads to paradise. In other words, there is no other way for them to be guided except by means of this faith. It is not as they claim, become Jews or Christians, then you will be rightly guided. 2:135. They claim that guidance is only to be found in their religion, but guidance means knowing the truth and acting upon it. The opposite of which is misguidance, by failing to acquire knowledge, and misguidance by failing to act upon the knowledge acquired. Okay, failing to acquire knowledge, misguidance by failing to act upon the knowledge in which you received. Okay. This is the opposition in which they were entrenched. As they turned away, the one who is entrenched in opposition is the one who is on one side whilst Allah and His Messenger are on the other side. Okay, so entrenched in opposition. And then if you're entrenched, you're on a different battleground. It's an excellent way to put it. This opposition in which they are entrenched means hostility and extreme enmity. Yeah, I thought so, yeah. Which in turn dictates that they would strive their utmost to harm the messenger. Hence Allah promised His messenger that He would suffice him against them, because He is all-hearing, who hears all voices, despite their different languages and the varying needs of people. And He is all-knowing, who knows what is before them and what is behind them. He knows the unseen and the seen. He knows what will apparent and what is hidden. As this is the case, then Allah will suffice you against their evil. And Allah will indeed fulfill His promise to His messenger, and gave him power over them, so that he killed some of them, took some of them captive, and expelled others, banishing them in all directions. Okay, so will fulfill the promise to His messenger, and that's also a promise to us. So we have to be rightly guided via submission, not differentiate between the messengers, faithfully acquire knowledge, and act upon it once we acquire it. Otherwise, we're being misguided. It's very interesting.